going so far?
Thank you so much for having me. It's going really good. Yeah, I mean, I literally live 2 seconds away from you, so it was...
No LA traffic here.
No LA traffic. I love being able to walk somewhere. It's not like that usually happens in LA, so it was special.
Oh, that was amazing. I love that. I love how it was like so easy to be here. And guys, for those of you guys who do not know, I'm joined here with Alyssa Lynch. She's a fellow Canadian, actually. We have a lot of Canadian listeners. And I would love to start there, Alyssa. Like, you have such a huge platform, and what you built with your brand, with your businesses, it's incredible. And I think it's so awesome too how you're from Canada. Can you give us a little bit about the backstory about like where you grew up and kind of like what brought you to LA?
Yeah, for sure. Wow. It's always funny talking about it because I feel like all of these different memories come up and you kind of take a trip down memory lane. But I actually kind of always knew I was going to live in Los Angeles. And I think that's because, well, I've said it since I was like 5 years old, actually. But I'm from a town called Langley, and it is, you know, a smaller town, probably like an hour outside of, or an hour away from Vancouver, in Canada. And I went to an art school growing up. Definitely not like visual arts, but performing arts were always my thing. I loved singing, dancing, acting, and I knew I wanted to be an actress. I did, you know, commercials and all that stuff growing up, and then when I think it was my graduation year, I was like, I really want to take film and television acting seriously, and so I came out to LA a couple of times with some of my acting friends and fell in love with it here. And when I graduated high school, I started working on set a lot, and I worked on a few different TV shows and movies and was working actually quite a lot. And when I wrapped my shows, I came out here and decided to make the move and not continue actually the shows in Vancouver because I really, really wanted to be here. LA just, even though I missed my family a lot, it was like, I always kind of was attracted to being in like positions and situations that made me feel uncomfortable, in the sense of like, uncomfortable, like, I know this is the right direction. I'm nervous, but it excites me. And LA always made me feel like that. Like, Vancouver can make people feel like that. There's so many opportunities in Vancouver as well. But for me, it was like everything from the sunshine in LA to like the artistic people, and I mean the nostalgia of just like the movies growing up, watching like the OC or something like that. Like driving, driving down the PCH. Like, it was so like, this is literally what my 7-year-old self dreamed about, and I'm gonna make it happen. And like, I will say, not a lot of people believed that. My family like has always believed in me, but of course, when you're 7-year-olds, like, I'm gonna move to LA and be a movie star. You're like, okay, sweetheart. Okay, do you have like a backup plan? It was my grandparents. I love them to death, but they're always like, do you just have a backup plan? Like, if you want to go to university, is there something else that, you know, maybe you'd want to do? And I was like, no. Like, I don't need to have a backup plan. Like, I know what I'm going to do. And mind you, of course, the acting situation turned into something new. But when I was 7 years old, you know, people weren't, you know, YouTube and Instagram weren't people's careers back then.
Yeah.
So that wasn't really an option in my mind. So when I fell into this, I realized that it was something I wanted to continue, and I kind of put the acting thing to bed, for at least for now.
I love that. I think that it's so special too that you clearly had that mindset that it doesn't matter what anyone else says.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know what I want to create with my life, and I'm going to do it regardless of other people's judgments or opinions. And was there like a time like when you traveled here and it was like, was there like one specific catalyst? Was it an agent? Was it like something that happened that was like, okay, I'm completely sold? Like, there was always like that belief, but was there like a one moment where you're like, this is it?
So when in like the acting world, there's something called pilot season, and that's like usually between, I think it's like January to March, where it's like audition season for all these new series that are starting. So there's a bunch of pilots that are like a first episode trial of a series, and a lot of the time they're looking for new faces and new actors. And so a lot of people in Vancouver, actors in Vancouver would come up to LA for pilot season and get rent a place for a couple of months and audition and meet casting directors. And so two of my best friends at the time, we drove out here to LA and we got a place and we started auditioning. And I think that was the time where I was like, I can really do this, you know. I don't think I fully believed that I was good enough until I came out here and you know what, I didn't even book anything. That whole pilot season, I didn't book anything, but I realized that not booking anything does not mean that you're not good enough. If you're constantly getting like, ooh, because people are blunt and honest in the acting world. They will tell you if you did a really bad job. And I always got very positive feedback, and I made it very close a lot of the time. And that for me was enough to be like, wow, I can really do this, and I need to believe in myself more. And just living here, I mean, I think like even walking down the street to get a coffee, like filled up my cup so much. It made me so excited. And I was just like, I never felt this in Langley. And I love Langley, and it has a place in my heart forever. But the fact that this is what, oh my goodness, 6 years later, I'm still so excited to walk down the street and get a coffee because I just love where I live. So I think that was kind of the moment I was like, yeah, I need to.
That level of self-awareness too, it's so powerful because you truly have to follow what your heart is telling you. And I resonate with that so much, being a Canadian, like moving from a town that's nothing like this. And every single day I am so grateful to see a palm tree. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe I live here. And I think you should never lose that because then you lose like the juice out of life. And I know with your journey, you went into social media, and like, how did that all begin then with Instagram and the influencer? I know it's really scaled into like how it's a job, like with YouTube and Instagram and all of that, but you were in it in the early days. So what was that like starting to use social media, especially with acting? One of the things that's like a big note is like now they expect actors and models to have a good presence, but back then it was almost like, what are you doing?
Right, exactly.
What was that like?
Well, I actually really struggled with that in the beginning, and that's why it took me a little bit longer to fully own this job that is now a job. Because to be honest, and I think it's still kind of like this, however, it is changed a lot, but in the acting world, especially when, 6 years ago, it was not very cool to be doing Instagram and YouTube in the acting world. It was like a little frowned upon, and you weren't taken as seriously as an actor if you were posting photos of yourself or something on Instagram. So I was really hesitant towards it. But when I was filming my shows in Vancouver, I was coming back and forth from LA a lot because my boyfriend at the time lived here in LA, and he is a talented videographer and worked with a lot of people that did Vine, YouTube, music as well, like big names in the music industry. And so I was introduced to that world through him. I had no idea what Vine was. All of these, influencers, I guess, I just thought they were like kids that really liked to take their cameras around with them. But I had no idea. And they were huge on this platform of Vine. And I was like, what is Vine? And then it was just all so new to me. And like I said, I was pretty hesitant towards it because I was like, I need to be taken seriously as an actor.
Yeah.
And we started, I actually, filming on set is long hours and it's a lot. And so I needed a bit of a break and started traveling a little bit and started documenting the travels because that's what my ex did as a hobby and a career, and was make videos. And so I was just kind of sharing that, and it took off. I mean, people really loved to see, especially a couple traveling. And then I also was just sharing what I loved personally, and that was wellness.
Vloggers and everything is so big. It's why do we think it's so big? It's because it's that relatability, that authenticity.
Exactly.
And you don't get that on TV, right? Because it's all scripted.
Exactly.
Did you love it doing it too? In that phase? Or were you like, this is weird, but people like it? What was your...
So I think for me, a lot of the people that did that for work or every single day, the vlogging, they did it in a way that didn't resonate with me. It was very comedic. It was very outgoing. It was very what's up guys? We're here today. Let's go and play pranks.
Yeah.
And that didn't resonate with me. I was like, I need to go meditate. That was just a lot of energy. All amazing people though, and kill it in their own way.
Yeah.
But for me, I didn't have anyone around me that did vlogging, social media, in a way that inspired me. So that's why it took me so long to really own this and find my way with it. But as time went on, I had built an audience and I had grown to really love the wellness lifestyle that, was so big in Los Angeles, and, the vegan lifestyle and all of these different kind of things that really resonated with me. And I started sharing those, and I feel like people really understood that those meant a lot to me, and that took off even more.
Wow.
So
was there one point, or was it kind of gradual? Some people have that one video or that one post or one collaboration. Was there that in your journey?
Yeah, it was definitely my friends, Drew and Alex, who are also known as chain smokers. I was in their music video, and I think it has 3 billion views or something. I think it and Justin Bieber Baby and maybe Gangnam Style are some of the most viewed YouTube videos. So after that, I would get stopped every single day. You're the girl from the Chainsmokers. Yeah. The girl from the Chainsmokers video. And I was just like, I love you, Drew and Alex, but man.
Now you get you're Alyssa Lynch.
I've worked up my acting career just to be the girl in the Chainsmokers video, but I was like, nah, it was very cool, and they're amazing guys, and they're huge now. That was their first kind of really big video, though, I think, or big song too.
Totally.
So yeah, that was very cool, and that kind of started that. But it was I wanted to obviously, take what I had been doing and create something more with it. And I think going through a really hard breakup where you're kind of, your identity is correlated to this relationship and this whole couples goals thing.
Yeah.
And taking that and being like, I know that I'm so much more than just, and I have so much more to offer than just a cheesy post kissing my boyfriend. Like, I have so much more to offer than that. And not that there's anything bad with that, but I was just so ready to like,
step into your voice.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
True voice.
So I think after that, actually, like, I really started to own the doing social media as more of a job, or it just owning it, period, in the sense of doing it every single day, and just being like real and authentic and sharing my emotions and my
You're so good at that, and like I think that's a perfect like segue into one of the questions I think that a lot of people would really love to hear from you. You're so unapologetic and like you just are you, and it's no like facade, like what you see is what you get, like you're the same person. And I know like people are like, that's great, but it's not everyone is like that, especially people with big platforms. And you're at like almost 700,000 on Instagram, and you're on you're on YouTube, and it's just so admirable to see like you truly stay in your lane. You're so authentic, and I would love to hear like maybe there's a lot of people listening who are building their brand, and they can get discouraged, and then they feel like they have to kind of like copy the other what's trending. And I think you're someone who could speak from that experience because you are doing exactly what's intentional to you. Like, what would be your best like words of advice or tips for someone who is trying to like build their brand but not get distracted from all the noise and what they think they should be doing?
Yeah, it's definitely tough because to be honest, I think it's amazing to have inspiration and people that you look up to. And I think that, like, to be honest, for the first time this year, since probably like COVID happened and this whole pandemic, I, for the first time, felt like, oh my gosh, like, am I gonna lose myself? What am I gonna do, like, content-wise, career-wise? And that's when people in the same world as me, I started to look at their platforms and really take inspiration from it, and it's really, really helped me. So I think that there's no harm in taking, not even taking inspiration, but finding people in the same kind of career or job or world that you're in to look up to. Because for me, that was so important, because I never wanted to feel like I didn't resonate with anybody and feel like an outsider. Like, it was so great to have people like, oh my goodness, like, I want to do something like that one day, or I love the way that she like takes photos. I want to learn how to do that. I think that that's great, but I think also just, like, knowing why you're different, believing in that. And I know not everybody is so personal on social media. Some people just like to share their form of art, and that's photography, or that's, not sharing why they're in a bad mood this morning. But I also think it's been such an amazing kind of trend too, especially over the last year, of people being just showing the realness behind all of the curated, posts. And because, we can't just be posting from Positano, Italy in our favorite outfit, even though that was an amazing trend too.
Yeah, it was the perfect preset and everything.
Exactly. But now it's like, oh my gosh, people are stuck in their rooms and they're just sharing like the way that they're feeling. And it's like, it's been something to like, I'm an emotional person, and I love to talk it out. If I'm in a fight with somebody, I'm like, you know what, we're gonna hash this out right now. I want to know what you're feeling and how I'm feeling. And that was something that, like, I think like everybody was able to connect on social media with, like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna like, for me personally, I'm going to pour my heart out and I'm going to talk to people and connect with people. And that was so fulfilling. It was more fulfilling than any, amazing destination photo I've ever took and posted and received whatever feedback I received on that. Being just authentic and like connecting with people who feel the same way. I think that that's just, there's no feeling really like that. So I think it's just finding your voice and what makes you thrive. And if that's, if that's photography and being super artistic in that way, then that is amazing. But also, like, for me, that's connection and that's just being so real and like no barriers or walls up. And that's what's made me feel the best when doing, this job.
And it's so beautiful because you're like, you can feel that energy and it's so real. And even moreover, like the community that you have, both like your audience, I always say your vibe attracts your tribe, and you have that so much with your community and then even with your friends here. Like you have some of the best friends and you're always sharing how loving and supportive. It's great for people to see because it's inspiring to see like women uplift other women. And I truly think that would be all because of just the energy and the vibration that you're operating at. You're attracting in all these people. But to someone who's like listening and maybe they're in a town and they probably follow you and they're like, I'm sure you get this. Like, I want that female tribe, or regardless of gender, like I want that friendship, that community that you have with like some of your girlfriends like Sammy and all your amazing friends. How would you say like they can start building those relationships?
Well, oh yeah, I truly just have to say I lucked out with my friends. I'm so grateful, but it definitely took time. I would say that my friends, the majority of my girlfriends that I talk to on a daily basis now have only really been my close friends for maybe the last 2 to 3 years. But before that, it was definitely like you have to have patience with it and you have to put yourself out there. And I mean, I've also changed so much over the last 6 years. Like, I think even the tone of my voice, I was just looking back at like different YouTube videos that are not public anymore. But I used to talk like this and like really calm and like talk about being vegan and like that was, and I just think now like I've definitely grown into myself and confidence, and that's also what's attracted such strong, independent and uplifting women in my life. But it definitely took time, and I know it's hard right now because the world isn't fully open yet, but once it starts to open again, like I would go to workout classes. I remember I like went to a ceramic art class one time and I was just like, I want to meet people. I want to do an acting class. I want to go work from a cafe because who knows how I'm going to meet. I also think that Instagram is a beautiful place to meet friends. I have met so many amazing friends. Like when you just start following each other and you might know a few mutual people and then you comment and you're like, should we grab a coffee, go on a walk? And it's like, that is the beautiful, beautiful thing about social media now. So yeah.
I love that you said that because social media gets such a bad rap. I know like it has its like, it depends on what you consume, right? But we can control who we follow and what we want to consume and mute. There's like the mute button feature there for a reason. And then you can use the platform to make like your best friends. Because first, like for me, from moving from Toronto to LA, not knowing anyone in my early 20s, like 22 years old, like I used social media to meet all my friends and did the exact same thing. And it's so crazy how much of if we didn't have, and Instagram is different than any other platform because you could kind of get to feel their personality and see their stories. So like you felt more comfortable versus like, I don't know how else you would like connect with people. It was just such a game changer.
I know, it's amazing.
I'm like so grateful for it. And shifting gears even into more of this, because I love this topic of like this positive mindset and just like your whole view on everything, let's talk morning routines, because I know you're huge on morning routines. I love everything you share, and I feel like we can get into the details.
Yeah.
And I know that a morning is everything, right? Like to set us up for such a abundant day where we feel our best, it comes from, I truly believe, like the morning routine.
Absolutely.
So give us a little bit about it. Like, what's your morning routine?
Well, I will say I have perfected it more as this last year has gone by, for sure. And I think it will forever stick with me now. Like, I used to love the concept of a morning routine, but I think that, life was just so chaotic before last year or this past year that you just like wait. I used to just wake up, go to a workout class, and bring a change of clothes and go from there.
That's exactly what I did.
And now I will gladly miss that 6 a.m. workout class to do my morning routine, because I wake up and I drink an entire thing of water and I meditate for 5 minutes, only 5 minutes so far. Hopefully we will expand from there.
That's exactly my view of meditation.
It's all I can dedicate right now, just because after 5 minutes I hear my dog wanting to go outside, and then I get super distracted and I'm like, okay, I can only do 5 minutes right now. So I do 5 minutes of meditation, and then I take my gratitude journal and I write down 3 things I'm grateful for, 3 things I want to happen today or look forward to happening today, and then 3 affirmations, and then I take my productivity journal and I write down all of the top tasks I want to accomplish today, and then I take my I sound psycho.
No.
Then I take my planner, which is just a blank journal that I've written my week out. Like on Sunday, I'll take that. Sunday night, I'll write down Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I'll just write down what my days are looking like. And so I'll just look at it and go over it and remind myself what's going on today. And then I will grab my coffee and my ice roller, and I will ice roll my face, and I will sip my coffee, and then I will either have breakfast and do some form of movement later, or do a workout and then come home and have breakfast.
Love it.
Yeah.
How do you feel like that sets your day up? Like, if you did do that, like life before to like life doing that now, how do you feel?
I just think it's so grounding. It's also, it gives me this feeling of purpose. I look forward to my morning routine every day.
Yeah.
It's some form of purpose. Even if and mind you, life is getting busier, but even when life wasn't, for that, those few months of like, oh my goodness, the world has stopped.
Yeah.
It was a form of purpose. Like I get to go and set up my day, even if it's like I'm gonna schedule in a walk from 1 to 2. You know what I mean? So I think that, I think it's been super grounding, and it just makes me feel confident. It makes me feel like I have my day, set up, and I can just go into a structured day, but also I never allow plans or schedules to stress me out. I know some people, like for instance, my boyfriend, looking at a calendar with a bunch of things, like if he looked at, we were just talking about our friend JT, and JT has a whole schedule, like
color blocked, everything.
Yeah. If my boyfriend looked at that, he would literally have a panic attack. Like that doesn't work for him. But for me, it's like I look at a schedule, and there's no, like, of course some things are appointments or commitments, and that's fine, but a lot of the time, a lot of things are just like me trying to set an idea up for myself. So it doesn't mean that I particularly have to do the walk from 1 to 2, but that's my time to do a walk if I feel like I want to.
I love that. And I love how you said that note on Justin, because it's like what works for one person doesn't have to work for everyone. And like people think it's like life or death sometimes. Like when someone comes on a podcast or whatever, they're like, you have to do it this way and you're gonna be successful. Like Justin has Elwood, like a huge company, and it's just like, whoa, I love to hear his way he organizes, but like everyone has their own way, and it serves you.
It's been such an eye-opening experience because he is the absolute opposite.
I was gonna say, I feel like you guys are like,
we are opposites with everything. I mean, he turns on the TV right when he wakes up and like rolls out of bed and goes to the office, and then like hits some golf balls and comes home, and we just work very, very differently.
But yet it works so well for a relationship. Let's ask a fun question. What do you think is like the secret sauce or magic with your relationship? Because I'm sure a lot of the girls who follow you and guys, like you have such an amazing relationship with Justin, and you know it's real because you are only so real. So what do you think makes it such a beautiful relationship?
I think it's, communication for sure.
Do you think opposites attract?
I do think opposites attract as long as you respect each other, and he respects me eating plant-based, and I respect his dietary, wants and needs and likes, and then he respects me loving working out, and I respect him not really love working out. It's like if you love the opposite kind of traits within each other, and you find them attractive and also kind of inspiring in the sense of like, sometimes he allows me to like chill and not be go, and allows me to ground and calm down. And sometimes I allow him to be like, nope, we're going and doing something and we're getting up and we're doing this. Like there's that balance. So I think it's like, first, communication and just not holding anything in, because that's never gonna get anyone anywhere, I think.
Yeah.
But also just like loving the differences and similarities that you share.
That's so beautiful, and it's so true too with relationships that like Missy and I were talking about this, like we were talking about relationships a lot lately, about how like the other person, it's always like a spiritual lesson too, like the people who enter your life, and there's so much to learn, and it's such a beautiful thing when you have like differences, because then you can learn to like, for example with Justin and you, like I would learn this too from someone that like to slow down, and it's okay not to go a mile a minute, it's okay to have a rest day, because I feel like especially with like the Alyssa pre-COVID, you were go, and it's like now someone like this comes into your life, and it's such an abundant blessing when they make you realize, like just through them being them, you can see, wow, I could slow down and I'll be just fine, because like look at him. It's such a beautiful thing.
Oh, absolutely. And I think before I met Justin too, I thought that productivity and fast-paced and waking up really early and working a lot of hours and working really hard meant success.
Yeah.
Then I met somebody he is the smartest worker I've ever met. I wouldn't say hardest, but I would say smartest. Do you know what I mean? Only a few hours a day sometimes, and it's like that works incredible for him.
Yeah.
Incredible. And so being able to see that, it's like, oh, okay, I don't have to try so hard and almost pretend to be busy.
Totally.
Because that's not going to get me anywhere. And a lot of, the world I live in, and I think too in LA, there's a lot of pretending sometimes. And I don't even mean that in a negative way. I think it's people trying to fully have purpose. And a lot of the time, that's like, oh, I got a meeting here. I used to say this all the time. I used to be like, I have a meeting at this time, and like a few times I got called out, and it's like, you don't have a meeting. You're meeting a friend for coffee. That's not a meeting. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm just going to coffee with a friend, and like being with somebody every day who's so unapologetically himself, and he does not pretend for 1 second. He has never pretended in his life. He's like, oh, it's 11 a.m. and I don't want to be at work. I'm going to go home. And like, that's the way it will be. Or like, I'm going to go, like, he just doesn't, he would never think, oh, like, I shouldn't say this and I need to be taken more seriously. He's just so chill, and that works for him so well. So I think I've just learned a lot, like less pretending, more just doing whatever works for you. So.
And like, I'm sure he's just the happiest person, because when we're pretending and we're trying to just like be busy, we're not actually happy, we're like suffering. And like, this is like such a big thing that I've been really like sitting with work. It's like, I'd rather, like, if you're more intentional with the 3 hours that you do work and take it off, like, that's gonna serve so much more than if you're trying to be busy all day and give yourself 12 hours. And it's just so, I love this like theme of just being like so in your lane and so in alignment with who you are. And I think that's so beautiful. Justin truly like brings that out of you. We gotta have him here.
I know, seriously. I know.
I love that. And kind of getting into like that whole element with the business. You've been just crushing it with social media and like with your whole brand and everything you're doing. Could you shed a little bit? I know you get this a lot too, right? And this is, I get it because I like understand the whole business of it, but I know people ask you like, oh, what do you do for work? Do you mind explaining? Because people, I want not to explain like to prove a point too, almost of like, it's a business. It's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to do a brand campaign. And I would love for you to shed some light on that too, first, just for people to like understand it, who maybe are like, oh, because I'm sure you get this. I want to be an influencer. All you do is like take pictures all day and like go to free events. Yeah. It's not just that.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, I think it's also like constantly evolving and changing. And I mean, people in the corporate worlds out there are now, really working on their TikTok channel or something like that. So that just goes to show that like people who didn't take us as seriously before.
Now they probably want to pick your brain.
Exactly.
Listen to this podcast here.
But I think it's changed a lot too, even of how I would explain my career. And I'm not gonna lie, I've had a hard time with that. Because there's all these words. I think I'm coming to terms with not hating the term influencer so much. In the beginning, it just had a really bad stigma around it, but I think now it's,
like a profession
a little bit. But in the beginning, it was like, I said I was an actress for the longest time because I was, and then that kind of turned into actress model, and then that turned into blogger, and then blogger turned into content creator.
Wow.
And then I think now, or brand ambassador, content creator, and I think now it's just entrepreneur, because I think that I truly went from being one person who posts photos and works with one other person to kind of create something. And now it's like
a team.
I mean, my 2 managers and their team, and then now I have an assistant and a photographer, and we are collaboratively working together to work with different PR companies and brands to provide something that works with my brand and that works with their brand, and creating the content to share on whatever platform that is. And that is owning a business, and that is why I think that, just saying content creator is only
one piece of the puzzle.
One piece of it.
Totally. I think that it's like, it paints so much clarity too for people to know, like, it's a full-time job. It's like you have a team. A lot of influencers, entrepreneurs have their own like it full on takes a team to run the show because of the capacity and like the bandwidth and like the amount of projects you're doing at any given time. Do you have like always a certain amount of like brand campaigns that you're working with, or different things that are always in flow? I know you have like the YouTube channel and the Instagram. Those are your main platforms, right?
Yeah, so I mean, Instagram would be the main platform, and then YouTube is something that I mean is incredibly time consuming.
Yeah.
However, I really, really, really want to continue it and continue it even more so and more consistently. But consistency is key on there, and I'm currently learning how to edit myself so that I can be, you know, on there more and provide more vlogs and videos. But yeah, those are my two main platforms. And then as for brands, yeah, it's usually like, now it's kind of going into, I mean, obviously I try and work with brands on a long-term partnership basis, because that's just what makes most sense. And I don't want to just be a walking advertisement, even though I am. I've actually been a walking advertisement since I was like a child. I think I've always been so passionate about what I love. Like, whether that was like, you know, a McDonald's McFlurry. When I was like 8 years old, I would be like, you guys, McDonald's got the new cookies and cream flavor.
It was like the Alfred's matcha latte.
Exactly.
It's been on my radar to get it since you posted.
Anything within like, just anything that I love, or even like when the brand Aritzia would like come out with their new hoodie when I was younger, I was like, you guys, they have it, I need to have it. And I've always been so vocal and passionate about what I love. So it makes most sense for me to work with brands as a long-term partnership instead of just, you know, calling them out every now and again. I want to support these brands. I want to be a part of their journey and their, of watching them grow as a company. So I think trying to focus on fewer brand deals and work with them as a company and be more invited and a part of it, I think has been something that I've really, really made important this past year, especially.
Oh, I love that. Do you ever get like overwhelmed with the amount of content to create as like a creator on the platform?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've learned that I'm very much a collaborative worker. I know some people work best on their own and they could just be a one-man team, and that is not me. I like, to be honest, I need somebody telling me I'm doing a great job every day. And I just learned that about myself. So
it's so good. Self-awareness is so key.
Like, I need someone to be like, you're doing great. I'm like, you know what? I am. Like, let's
keep
go.
going.
Yeah. If no one's there to tell me, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I can't do this.
But it's nice to have the team there to bounce ideas off.
Exactly.
Because when you're creating like for any brand, like Highline Wellness, right?
Yeah.
It's like nice to like share it in a way that like if you have a team with you, it's like
Exactly.
this. Do you guys like this way I'm like sharing this brand, or like how I use it, or this routine? And it's like nice to have that feedback, especially with the work as being a content creator. Like, yes, you are like constantly communicating with people online, but it's nice to. It could be lonely if you don't have that team.
Absolutely.
Because then you could just be like with a tribe. Like you could the career is like where you could technically be a one-woman show.
Right.
But the scale is there when you have a team, for sure.
Oh, for sure. And I think like, I mean, my manager, Dean, he's been my manager since the Closer music video came out.
No way.
And so he's like family to me now, and I'm able to just call him and bounce ideas off of him. And he truly will tell me if I should say no or yes to something. And I can really, really, I mean, I can also answer on my own and know what feels best to me, but it feels really great to be able to fully trust someone.
Especially it's business decisions. Like,
exactly.
There's so much involved too.
Exactly. And then also my assistant Alex, like we've been working together for the last few years now, and she's I don't think like anyone has, I don't think I've ever understood someone so well and someone's understood me so well, and we've been through so many of the same things in our life, and on a personal level and a work level, she's just able to be like a huge supporter for me. And like, I don't even have to finish a sentence and she just knows.
I love that.
Vice versa. And we're really, really, really just like such a good team. There's no boss, or there's no, you know what I mean? Like, it just
such a
feels
positive
like a team.
community. Yeah, I love that. It's so vital for growth.
Yeah.
And on that note of like growing, and truly like you're an entrepreneur and you have so many things going on. Could you share like anything you're excited about, projects, things that you're doing, and even brand collabs that maybe are in flow, like the one with Highline Wellness in your line, like anything that you could share there? Entrepreneur list, let's hear it.
Definitely. I mean, like I said, I'm really trying to continue YouTube and work on YouTube. I'm starting this series called Real Talk series, and I'm just going to, whether it's a one-man show or I'm going to also have guests on there and talk about real life stuff that people can relate to, struggles that, you know, they've worked through, and just a bunch of different, you know, authentic, genuine stuff. So that's to come. Also, I'm continuing to work with Highline Wellness. I love them so much. They have truly made such a positive impact on my life, as I was introduced to CBD through them, and I struggled with insomnia and anxiety, and their nighttime gummies and their CBD oil have helped me so much. So when they asked if I wanted to create a product with them, I created the CBD under eye balm and hydrating mist with them, which I use every single day. That is also a part of my morning routine. Underneath my ice roller, I always have my eye balm, and it just helps with like swelling and puffiness, which is something I've always struggled with. So I'm continuing to work with them and be a part of, like, I really feel like I've gotten to know them too on a personal basis as well. And so I feel so passionate and excited about everything that they're doing. So that makes me just feel so confident in continuing the partnership with them. I still work with Drink Poppy, which if you haven't tried, you gotta try. As well as Midday Squares, which is like this little afternoon pick-me-up chocolate. It's like, it
looks so good.
It's like it's a chocolate bar, but it's the benefits of almost a protein bar. So it's beautiful and amazing. And helping Justin with Elwood has really made me more passionate about fashion as well. So I think everything from, of course, wellness, I think will always be the base of my true passion, but also dabbling in beauty and fashion have been something that actually gets me really creative and inspired.
Love that. There's so many gems, and it's such like everything you speak about, like the Highline Wellness, the Midday Squares, like you are so passionate about anything you promote and stand behind, which is such a beautiful thing, because especially as the space is growing, it's like so nice to just always get that authentic, always from you. I always like get everything I need to try. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to Alyssa's highlight on this or this, because it's like so real. And I think that's why there's so much longevity and success in your career, because you only stand behind things that you love. And it's so exciting with like what you're doing, and then where you're going to continue to go, especially with Elwood and all the abundance that's going to be there. So just want to honor you for all of that and sharing. You're so welcome. And we're going to close now with this signature round that this is the first podcast where we're doing it, and every episode now, it's called the Power 3. So I'm always gonna do on brand with this episode. Like I've been so inspired by Jay Shetty. Like everything he does, so inspired. And he has a fast 5 at the end. That one's kind of hard though. He has good questions that it's hard to answer in like 5 words or less.
I agree. Oh my goodness.
So ours are a lot gentler.
Okay.
I know you're So the power three are kind of like three questions that I really think are just like, they're my favorite questions that I like to know. So the first one is, I'm huge on affirmations, as is the Coffee and a Good Vibe family. And I know this one's going to be easy for you because in your morning routine, you do affirmations. So I would love for you to give one of your favorite ones, maybe, that you can give out to the audience. That's like an affirmation that has really served you.
An affirmation that has really served me. I think that would be something along the lines of, I am, for me personally, like this always works to say, I am letting go and trusting the universe, because a lot of the time I have a tendency to want to control.
Oh, same.
So,
same, sister.
Just letting go and trusting the universe and like my gut is always something that I try and say in the morning.
Love that. Adopt that one. I feel like it's so nice to adopt other affirmations because we all resonate with those feelings of control. So love that one. The second one, I know you've given so many gems of this, but if you have to choose one thing, like one routine that you've added into your schedule and your daily routine that's like been like a really big game changer. So it could be like the gratitude, it could be morning walk, it could be calling a friend every day for one habit that you do daily that's been the biggest game changer.
Okay, so I wouldn't say I do this every single day, but I think incorporating this into maybe even just starting it once a week, but trying to do even more so. I did this every day during quarantine, and that's a walk while listening to a podcast. And there is so many gem podcasts out there, including this one. And I just think it's the most beautiful thing. You can walk, you can be around nature if you're lucky enough to be able to. And you can just be listening to such beautiful words, learning, and still feeling productive because you're like moving your body. And I just think that it's the best thing. It is. I've learned so much through podcasts this year. Like I genuinely think that that's one of the most beneficial things I've introduced into my life.
I think because you're so present too on the walk that it makes so much sense to just listen to a podcast because you can just focus in. I love that. Oh, amazing. And the last one, this one's kind of hard because I am huge on this. What's the best quote, piece of advice, like a one-liner that's really changed your life? Could be something your mom said, could be something like my idol Jay Shetty said, which by the way, he reposted you. That's huge.
We do.
Maybe that should be your quote.
We message all the time, and his wife and me.
Oh, they're in LA. They're amazing people. I love that. See, social media brought you even closer.
Yep, it really did. Okay, this is actually from a podcast of Jay Shetty's and Will Smith's. Did you listen to this?
I listened to that twice.
I have all of these, but what's the best one?
Just came out this week. I've already listened to it twice.
Okay, don't quote me on this because this isn't exactly how he said it, but I loved when Will Smith said, if I am deeply disrupted or disturbed by something, it is because of my ignorance. So he said he needs to sit with his problems to try and comprehend them on the deepest level so that they're not problems anymore. And I was like, that is so interesting to hear. Like, if something is really, really, really affecting your everyday life and really, really, really bothering you, you need to sit with it and understand it and figure it out because it doesn't need to be. You know what I mean? And like, he also said, we're programmed to believe that life is for enjoyment, and it's not for enjoyment, it's for education. Wow. So we're always trying to like seek something sweet, and everything sweet is a little bit poisoned, and that's for a reason, because we're supposed to learn. Life is for school, life isn't for enjoyment. But once you start to realize that and learn from everything, you can also enjoy it. It's just like, I just loved that he said that.
That episode had so many gems.
I was like,
thank you for sharing that and writing that. That was like a heavy hitter of 3 answers. If you're the first, this is just me you just gave me so much faith for the future.
You're like, do you have one quote? I'm like, here's a novel, 1 sec.
I like that you write down the notes while you're listening. Oh, thank you so much, Alyssa. Truly. This is such a pleasure. I know everyone knows, and everything's going to be linked below in the show notes where they can find you. But just for the audio, who are on their walk, where can they get you?
You can find me on Instagram just under my name, Alyssa Lynch, and then as well as on YouTube. And yeah, I kind of just post everything to there and keep you all updated on anything I'm working on.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much, Alyssa. And we will see you guys in the next one.
Thank you so much.